All right, welcome back. Our last video we went over different sketching tools. Today we're going to go more over the solid tools, so what we can do once we create a sketch. So let's first start with a sketch because we can't have any 3D objects till we start with the 2D. So I'm just going to create a box here. I'm going to finish the sketch and then I'm going to extrude it. So the extrude tool allows us to basically create the object itself. And then from there we can go and modify. Now, extrude tools have a lot of things that you can do and then just go one direction or the other. So before we get too far into anything, what happens is anytime you build an operation within this component, everything will add up right here. So this is the sketch, that's that extrusion that we just did. So if we do something else, and so on. So if we want to go back and edit that, I can actually go right click and then edit feature, and it brings up my initial thing. So I could change that to two sides, and as I'm extruding from there, I can extrude from there. So if you need to go a certain distance one way and a certain distance the other, you can change whether you're using a distance or to object or all. So there's all sorts of different ways to do this. So let's have our extruded part here. Now, another tool we can use, and I'll get to revolve here later. Another tool we can use is hull. Now, if I click hull and then I throw the object on here, it's going to create a hull. And if you see, I'm kind of going around it right now. There's a little white dot that popped on the surface that I started this hull on. I can actually attach right to that if the hull is supposed to be in the center of the object. If not, what I always recommend doing before you have a hull is actually doing a new sketch on the surface, and you dimension based off those things. So I would create a circle, and then I would use my dimensioning tools. So say this needs to be, oops, I'm going to use my dimensioning tools and say this needs to be 1 point, let's just say it needs to be 0.75 from that edge, and it needs to be 1 from that edge. So then I can finish the sketch. Now the circle itself is not useful to me at all. It's just the center point of the circle. So I can now create that hole, select the surface, and oops, select hole, and then I can actually select the center point. That's where I want the hole to go. Now, some things over here, you have distance. Once again, it's going to go as far as you tell it to go to, and then all. All would mean it would go all the way through. As of right now, that's kind of what's doing anyways. Distance allows us to change different things. So we have a simple hole, we have a counter bore, and we have a countersink. And the pictures are exactly what it shows, and we'll get much more into those later on. Then you have a hole tap. Okay, you have a clearance, tapped, and then taper tapped, and then drill point, flat or angled. So there's all different things. So right now we have angled. So this is what it would look like inside the hole. If we go to flat, that's what it would look like inside the hole. If we make it tapped, that means there's threads. Okay, so you have all sorts of different things here. So I could do a counter bore. So that's a counter bore. That's a countersink. So if I have a simple hole that's tapped, we won't even get into that right now. Simple hole, I can make it so that the height, I don't know how tall this object is, but let's say I'm only going to cut 0.25 into the object, and then this angle I can change that either way. So depending on how you're going to go, that could be a 90-degree angle. Okay, that could be 100 and whatever. It could be 30 degrees, etc. And then how wide the hole is. The hole is obviously too wide for the object right now. So if I wanted to make that like 1 instead, okay, now I have my hole. So there's the hole. Once again, if I don't like what's going on with that, I can always go over here and either double click or right click and then go to edit. So that's the hole command. All right, and rectangular patterns. So let's talk about those here. Finish sketch here. So I have accidentally created an additional sketch. So like I said, I used this sketch to create this, and then I used this sketch to create the whole. And then I accidentally made this extra sketch that really isn't necessary. So make sure you're going through and keeping things clean. I'm going to go in there and delete that sketch. All right, now where we're going, um, using our rectangular pattern tool, I'm going to change this quantity to 2. I'm going to change the other quantity to 2, just for the purpose of this assignment here. This is the object I'm going to use, and that object as well. Directions, I'm going to select this red here, and I can go this way, so there's 3. And once again, I can change that to 2 as well. Let's go ahead and look at it like this. So I've created multiple objects. So there they are. I multiplied that so that it was 4 in a rectangular pattern. All right, fillets. Okay, fillets allow us to basically curve an edge. So say this edge is not what we want, and click on that. You can then basically modify this. I mean, there's 2 different ways. You can enter in a value, or you can drag it like so. So I can actually modify that so it's like that. And then I could go OK. So that's a fillet, allows us to curve an edge. And you can even do that with some other surfaces. Sometimes it won't let you, just because it's just beyond what is supposed to be done by the program. So like here, error, you can do it to a certain extent, like there. Like that's allowed, but if you go too far, then it will mess up. So, all right, shell. Shell allows us to basically hollow out an object. It's a pretty simple operation. So click on shell, you get face body. So this would be, what surface do you want to remove? So I'm gonna remove the bottom here. And then I can change the thickness based off of how thick it's supposed to be on the inside. So I could do that. Okay. Change your measurements. So that would be shelling out. Okay. Combine allows us to basically take 2 separate objects. So say I want to combine this, and I'm going to create a sphere. So I can use my primitives. Okay, and I need to get the sphere connected. Now obviously it's over there, so if I click on it and I right click and go to move copy, right click, move copy. All right, if I look at it from a specific angle, I can actually drag it like so, drag that down, move over. Okay, so now the objects are actually touching. Now there's still 2 separate objects, but if I want to combine them, I can actually go to combine, select the 2 objects. Okay. So now they are one object. So if I want to do something like right click, move this object, it won't actually separate. It will extend. Oop, there's something there. Because it's messing with this stuff, it's not going to work like that. So it just kind of depends on what you're doing with the objects. I'm just trying to show you guys that it will mess with the objects. All right, so let's combine. We don't need the rest. So that is the very basic tools that allow you to modify 3D shapes. So once again, kind of mess around with those, see what you can do, try new things, and good luck.